Imagine this. You're walking through a beautiful jungle trail. The air smells sweet, birds are singing, and exotic flowers surround you. It feels like paradise, until you brush your hand against the wrong leaf. Within minutes, your skin burns, your vision blurs, and your body begins to shut down. What you thought was harmless nature was actually one of the deadliest assassins on Earth. Plants may look quiet, harmless, and innocent, but in reality, some of them are master killers. They don't roar like lions or stalk like tigers. Instead, they wait silently, luring their victims with beauty, sweetness, or even shade. Before delivering a fatal touch, a poisonous fruit, or a deadly trap, from plants that can blind you for life, to trees so toxic that even standing under their reign can burn your skin, these are the world's deadliest plants you should never, ever touch. Stay with me until the end, because the last plant is so terrifying. It has been nicknamed the Tree of Death, and it's banned in almost every part of the world. 10. The castor bean plant, nature's silent assassin. At first glance, the castor bean plant looks harmless, even beautiful. Its large, glossy leaves and spiky red seed pods almost make it look like a tropical ornament. But behind its beauty lies one of the most dangerous poisons known to humankind. The seeds of the castor bean plant contain ricin, a toxin so lethal that even a few milligrams can kill an adult human. In fact, ricin is over 6,000 times more poisonous than cyanide. And here's the terrifying part. The plant grows naturally in many parts of the world, and unsuspecting people sometimes mistake its seeds for edible beans. If ingested, ricin begins a silent war inside the body. First comes nausea and severe abdominal pain, followed by bloody diarrhea, dehydration, and eventually, organ failure. There is no known antidote. Even scarier, ricin has been used as a weapon in espionage. In one infamous Cold War assassination, a man was killed with a tiny pellet laced with ricin, injected through the tip of an umbrella. That's how powerful this plant's toxin is. What's ironic is that castor oil, made from the same plant, is widely used in medicine, cosmetics, and even as a lubricant. But the oil only becomes safe after the poison is carefully removed. So, the next time you see a beautiful ornamental plant with shiny red seed pods, think twice. It might not just be a pretty decoration, it could be hiding one of the deadliest substances on Earth. 9. Oleander, the beautiful killer. Imagine a flower so stunning, it's planted in gardens, parks, and even along highways all over the world. But what if I told you that this same flower has enough poison in a single leaf to kill an adult? Welcome to the deadly world of oleander. Oleander is a gorgeous evergreen shrub that produces clusters of white, pink, or red blossoms. It looks harmless, even elegant. But don't be fooled, every single part of this plant is toxic. Leaves, flowers, stems, even the smoke from burning it. The poison inside oleander is called oleandrin, powerful cardiac glycoside. If ingested, it attacks the heart. Symptoms begin with nausea, vomiting, and dizziness. Then, the real horror begins. Irregular heartbeat, seizures, and in the worst cases, sudden cardiac arrest. There are stories of children being poisoned just by chewing on a leaf, or livestock dropping dead after grazing near it. In some chilling cases, even honey made from oleander flowers has been reported to carry traces of its poison. What makes oleander especially frightening is how deceptive it is. Its beauty invites people to touch it, decorate with it, or even mistake it for a harmless garden plant. In fact, in history, there are tales of armies using oleander to poison enemies by cooking food with its branches. Today, oleander is still widely grown as an ornamental plant, especially in warm climates. But gardeners know to handle it with extreme care, wearing gloves and keeping children and pets far away. It's a flower that teaches us a haunting truth. Sometimes the most beautiful things in nature are also the deadliest. 8. Deadly nightshade, the poison of witches and assassins. Its berries look like sweet little cherries, glossy, dark, and inviting. But make no mistake, this is no fruit for the hungry traveler. One bite, and you may never wake again. This is the infamous deadly nightshade, also known as belladonna. For centuries, Deadly nightshade has lived in legend, magic, and murder. Ancient Romans used it as a weapon, coating the tips of their arrows with its poison. Witches in medieval Europe allegedly brewed it into potions and ointments, believing it gave them the power to fly. And assassins? They used it to silently end lives without a trace. The plant contains atropine and scopolamine, chemicals that attack the nervous system. Early symptoms include dilated pupils, blurred vision, dry mouth, and confusion. Soon after, the victim slips into hallucinations, seizures, and finally, respiratory failure. The name belladonna actually means beautiful woman in Italian. Why? Because during the Renaissance, women would drop the plant's juice into their eyes to dilate their pupils, thinking it made them more attractive. The cruel irony is that while it made their eyes glow, it also slowly poisoned them. Even touching the plant can be risky, especially for children. The berries are particularly deceptive, shiny and sweet looking, but just a few can kill a person. Today, belladonna still has medical uses in tiny, controlled doses, such as eye drops for surgery, but in the wild, it remains one of the most sinister plants ever known, an assassin dressed in nature's disguise. 7. The suicide tree, the silent executioner. What if I told you there's a tree so deadly, it has been used for hundreds of secret murders, so common that locals gave it the chilling nickname, the suicide tree? This is no legend. This tree exists, and it kills quietly, without mercy. Meet the suicide tree, scientifically known as Cerbera odolum, found mainly in India and Southeast Asia. It looks like an ordinary tree with green leaves and mango-like fruits, but inside its seeds lies cerberin, a toxin that disrupts the electrical activity of the heart. The effects are brutal: vomiting, dizziness, irregular heartbeat, and then sudden cardiac arrest. But here's what makes it especially terrifying: it often leaves no clear trace. Unlike some poisons that can be easily detected, cerberin is notoriously hard to identify in autopsies. This has made the tree a weapon of choice for murder and suicide. In fact, in certain regions of India, the suicide tree has been linked to hundreds of mysterious deaths. Families feuding over property, forbidden lovers, and criminals seeking revenge all have used its seeds as the ultimate silent weapon. Victims often appear to die of a heart attack, with little evidence of foul play. What's more disturbing is that the fruit of this tree resembles a harmless mango. Someone could easily be tricked into eating it, never realizing that their final meal had already sealed their fate. Even today, cases of poisoning from the suicide tree are reported, making it one of the most notoriously deadly plants still in use by humans. A killer hidden in plain sight, its branches swaying gently, as if whispering its dark secrets. 6. The Gympie tree, the plant that tortures you with pain. Deep in the rainforests of Australia hides a plant so feared. Locals call it the suicide plant, not because it kills instantly, but because its sting is so unbearable, victims have begged to end their own lives. This is the infamous Gympie tree. At first glance, the Gympie dendrocnide moroides doesn't look threatening. Its heart-shaped leaves seem almost inviting, but every leaf, every stem, and even the fruit are covered in microscopic stinging hairs, tiny glass-like needles laced with one of the most painful toxins known to science. A single touch is enough to deliver agony that lasts for months. Victims describe the sensation as if their flesh is being burned by acid, electrocuted, and crushed all at the same time. And the nightmare doesn't end there. Even after the initial sting fades, sudden relapses of pain can return for weeks or even years, triggered by cold water or temperature changes. One soldier who accidentally brushed against the plant said it felt like being burned with hot acid and electrocuted simultaneously. Another victim, a horse, was reported to have jumped off a cliff after contact with the plant, driven mad by the pain. What makes it worse is that the stinging hairs are almost invisible. Once embedded in the skin, they're nearly impossible to remove, and they continue releasing venom over time. There is no cure, no true antidote, only pain management. Even protective gear doesn't guarantee safety, because the hairs can pierce through fabric and spread in the air like invisible needles. The Gympie isn't just deadly, it's torture disguised as a tree, a living nightmare in the lush green paradise of Australia. 5. The Manchineel tree, the tree of death. If you ever walk along a Caribbean beach and see a tree marked with a warning sign or a red ring of paint, don't go near it. That's not just a tree. That's the infamous Manchineel, also known as the tree of death. The Manchineel looks innocent, with shiny green leaves and small apple-like fruits locals call death apples. But every part of it is toxic: leaves, bark, sap, and especially its fruit. A single bite can cause blistering of the throat, stomach bleeding, and death. Even standing under the tree in the rain is dangerous. Raindrops dripping off its leaves carry sap strong enough to burn the skin. Campers who've made the mistake of using its wood for fire reported choking on poisonous smoke that nearly killed them. The Spanish once used the tree as a weapon of execution, tying prisoners beneath it and leaving them to suffer. Today, locals mark or fence these trees to warn tourists, because just touching it can leave scars for life. The Manchineel doesn't roar, doesn't move, doesn't chase you. It just waits. And if you're unlucky enough to touch it, it becomes the last shade you'll ever rest under. 4. The rosary pea, the beautiful seed that kills. Some of the deadliest killers in nature don't look frightening at all. In fact, they look like jewelry. Meet the rosary pea, tiny, beautiful red seeds with a black dot, often strung into necklaces and bracelets. But behind their beauty lies a poison deadlier than cyanide. The rosary pea contains a brin, toxin similar to ricin, but even more powerful. Just one seed, if chewed or broken, is enough to kill an adult. Once inside the body, a brin shuts down protein production in cells, leading to organ failure and death within days. The terrifying part: these seeds are often used in crafts. As long as they remain whole, they're safe. But if the hard shell cracks while making jewelry, or worse, if a child accidentally swallows one, the result is usually fatal. Symptoms begin with nausea, dehydration, and fever. Soon after, organs begin to shut down, and death can follow in less than a week. There's no antidote. It's haunting to think something so small and decorative could carry such immense power. The rosary pea is proof that danger sometimes hides in the most delicate forms. 3. Hemlock, the plant that killed Socrates. Over 2,000 years ago, the great philosopher Socrates was sentenced to death. His executioner didn't use a sword or a blade. Instead, they gave him a cup filled with a simple plant extract. That plant was hemlock. Hemlock may look like an ordinary wildflower, with delicate white blossoms and tall green stems, but every part of it is packed with coneine, a toxin that attacks the nervous system. When ingested, it first causes trembling and dizziness, then paralysis slowly creeps upward through the body. Victims remain fully conscious, but their muscles stop working until finally, the lungs shut down. Death by suffocation, while still awake. Socrates, knowing his fate, drank the poison calmly, sat down, and waited as the numbness crept up his body. His death cemented hemlock's reputation as one of history's most infamous plants. Today, hemlock still grows freely in fields and roadsides across Europe, Asia, and North America. To the untrained eye, it can be mistaken for harmless parsley or wild carrots, making it a deadly trap for foragers. Hemlock is silent, deceptive, and cruel, a reminder that sometimes nature's deadliest weapons don't roar, they whisper. 2. Angel's trumpet, beauty that makes you lose your mind. It looks like something out of a fairy tale. Large, trumpet-shaped flowers hanging gracefully, releasing a sweet fragrance at night. But this is no angel. This is the angel's trumpet, and its beauty hides a sinister secret. Every part of this plant contains scopolamine and atropine, chemicals that don't just poison the body, they attack the mind. In small doses, they cause confusion and dizziness. In larger doses, they strip away free will, plunging victims into terrifying hallucinations and psychosis. Stories from South America tell of criminals using extracts from angel's trumpet as a zombie drug, rendering victims awake, but powerless, unable to resist commands. Others report nightmarish visions, violent behavior, or sudden death from heart failure. What makes it more chilling is that the plant is often grown in gardens for its beauty. People admire its flowers without realizing they're standing beside one of the most dangerous hallucinogens in the world. Angel's trumpet doesn't just kill the body, it steals the mind first, leaving victims trapped in a living nightmare before the poison finally claims them. 1. The deadliest plant on Earth, the castor bean's dark twin. The manchineel reigns supreme. We've seen poisons that paralyze, toxins that torture, and flowers that drive you insane. But among them all, one plant stands above the rest, so feared that it's officially listed in the Guinness World Records as the most dangerous tree on the planet. The crown of death belongs to the manchineel tree. Yes, we've met it earlier in the countdown, but when experts weigh every factor, potency, exposure, and history, the manchineel tree always takes the #1 spot. Why? Because unlike many deadly plants that need to be ingested, just being near this tree can kill you. Its sap causes blisters on contact. Its fruit is a death trap that looks like a sweet apple. Its wood, when burned, releases toxic smoke that blinds and suffocates. Even standing under its branches in the rain can leave you scarred for life. The Spanish conquistadors feared it so much, they called it La Manzanilla de la Muerte, the little apple of death. They used it to torture enemies, tying them beneath its shade. Victims often died in agony as the sap burned through their skin. Today, many manchineel trees in the Caribbean and Florida are marked with warning signs, or their trunks are painted red to keep people away. Tourists are strictly warned, never touch it, never eat its fruit, and never even stand beneath it. The manchineel isn't just deadly, it's the embodiment of silent death. A beautiful green tree that reminds us, sometimes the greatest dangers in life don't roar or stalk. They simply wait. So there you have it, the 10 deadliest plants on Earth. From the assassin's poison of deadly nightshade, to the torture of the jimpy jimpy, to the silent executioner of the suicide tree, nature has armed itself with weapons more terrifying than any beast. They may look beautiful, harmless, even inviting. But remember this, in the wild, not everything that grows is safe to touch. Sometimes, the prettiest flower hides the deadliest secret. Which of these deadly plants shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into the darker side of nature, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the strange and dangerous corners of our world.